Michel de Montaigne's Key Lesson About Human Nature by John Vespasian. For 20 years, Michel de Montaigne, 1533 to 1592, wrote incessantly about human nature. He did extensive research and addressed a myriad of individual and societal issues. What is the main lesson that he drew from his philosophical studies? Montaigne presented this lesson in his essay on pedantry, but I must first explain what he meant by pedantry. In the 16th century, the word pedantry had a wider meaning. It denoted people who focus on elaborate, rigid, irrelevant details but have little understanding of the underlying principles. Nowadays, we still use the word pedant to refer to people who focus on elaborate, rigid, irrelevant details. Those people have a high opinion of themselves and show off by making ridiculous, unnecessary, complicated statements. However, in our century, the second part of Montaigne's definition has been lost. Montaigne defined pedants not only for their focus on irrelevant details, but also for their lack of common sense. Pedants have no general understanding, no common sense, because they are unable to think in terms of principles. Their minds can only apprehend isolated, mostly irrelevant details. Michel de Montaigne's essay on pedantry. In Montaigne's words, pedants lack practical wisdom, in spite of their education, background, or social status. They can memorize and parrot other people's words, but cannot assess facts independently and draw their own conclusions. The key lesson conveyed by Montaigne in this essay is that self-reliant, effective, happy individuals are the opposite of pedants. Instead of focusing on irrelevant details, they identify the driving factors. Instead of parroting someone else's words, they want to figure things out. To illustrate his point, Montaigne compared Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, to his disciple and friend Theophrastus, 371 to 287 BC. In their approach to learning, while Aristotle sought to identify the essential principles of metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics, Theophrastus devoted himself to writing a treatise about botany. While Aristotle gave advice on finding happiness, Theophrastus compiled endless details about plant morphology. The same principle can be predicated on Socrates, 470 to 399 BC, and his method of questioning. It helps us detect mistakes in our thinking, identify discrepancies, and look for the truth. In every situation, we can apply the Socratic method and find the answer. Montaigne also mentions Demosthenes, 384 to 322 BC, as an example to imitate. Demosthenes trained himself for years in rhetoric and elocution. He wanted to become a public speaker, not to seek popularity, but to convey the truth. As a result, he made countless speeches about liberty and independence, not about secondary, irrelevant subjects. Personal growth and Michel de Montaigne. We can improve ourselves faster, argued Montaigne, if we avoid pedants in all areas of our lives and instead exercise our common sense. In this manner, we can learn faster, increase our self-reliance and our happiness. In his own life, Montaigne preferred to read fewer, but well-chosen books, which sharpened his mind and contributed to his happiness. The Parallel Lives, written by Plutarch, 46 to 120 CE, was one of his favorite books. Montaigne regarded Plutarch as the opposite of a pedant. He read Plutarch in the Latin original and enjoyed his simple, well-constructed sentences that get straight to the point. He viewed Plutarch not only as a source of entertainment, but as a source of wisdom. How do we put Montaigne's recommendation into practice? First of all, one should not waste time with pedants because there is nothing useful to learn from them. Unless we stay away from them, they will eat up our time, energies, and resources. Second, we should focus on acquiring knowledge and skills that enhance our self-reliance and common sense. Let's imitate Socrates, who wasn't the most erudite man, but possessed great common sense. Montaigne's wisdom on human nature. Third, let us exercise our talents, seizing every opportunity to practice. Demosthenes became an excellent public speaker through sheer persistence. Human nature is a framework full of possibilities, which we can choose to seize or ignore. No valuable skill or talent can be developed without substantial work. To this end, we must find the motivation within ourselves. Fourth, Montaigne advised us to stay away from impractical projects. He meant dead-end, unpromising ventures that, even in case of success, will not improve our lives substantially. Let us not be fooled by the pedants who flock to those activities. Fifth, the more we focus on practical applications, the faster we can learn. This principle applies not only to learning foreign languages, but to all kinds of learning. Montaigne loved to read Plutarch's Parallel Lives because they combine interesting anecdotes with practical wisdom. If Plutarch's works had only provided entertainment, their appeal would have been severely curtailed. Sixth and most important principle, Montaigne reminded himself each day that he had the choice. He could stick to his productive habits, or he could let himself decay. One shouldn't employ the term human nature as an excuse. Personal growth depends on our commitment to make the best out of each day. If you are interested in applying rational ideas to all kinds of situations, I recommend my book titled Rational Living, Rational Working. For more information, go to johnvespasian.com.